In this story, we'll journey through Judges chapter 19, a dark chapter in Israel's history, a story that shows what happens when wickedness is left unchecked, and how a single decision can change a nation. Our story begins in the remote mountains of Ephraim, where a Levite, a man dedicated to serving God, lived. This Levite wasn't alone. He had taken a concubine from Bethlehem in Judah, but their relationship hit troubled waters when the concubine left him and returned to her father's house. She stayed there for 4 long months. But the Levite, with determination in his heart, decided to go after her. He traveled all the way to Bethlehem, hoping to bring her back home. He spoke kindly to her, trying to mend what had been broken. The concubine's father welcomed the Levite warmly. He was happy to see him and urged him to stay for a while. Days turned into several days as the father kept persuading the Levite to stay a little longer. But eventually, the Levite decided it was time to leave, and they set out on their journey back to Ephraim. The Levite, his concubine, a servant, and 2 donkeys began their long journey home. As evening approached, they found themselves near the town of Gibeah, in the territory of Benjamin. Needing a place to rest, they entered the town and waited in the town square, hoping someone would offer them shelter for the night. But as they waited, no one came forward to invite them in. The town seemed cold and unwelcoming, and the Levite began to worry. Just when it seemed like they might have to sleep in the open square, an old man approached them. This old man was also from the mountains of Ephraim, and he saw something familiar in the Levite's face. He urged them not to stay in the square and instead come to his house for the night. Inside the old man's modest home, they were welcomed with food and drink. The atmosphere was calm, but there was a lingering sense of unease. They hadn't been in the house long before trouble came knocking, literally. Wicked men from the town surrounded the old man's house, banging on the door, demanding that the Levite be sent out so they could abuse him sexually. The old man was horrified and pleaded with them, offering his own daughter and the Levite's concubine instead. But the men of Gibeah had only wickedness in their hearts. They took the concubine and did unspeakable things to her all night. As the first light of dawn broke, the men left her to die. The Levite found her lying at the door of the house, her hands on the threshold, a silent plea for help that had come too late. She was gone. The Levite, filled with sorrow and anger, placed her body on his donkey and returned home. But he couldn't just let this evil go unpunished. He did something drastic. He cut her body into 12 pieces and sent them throughout the tribes of Israel. This gruesome act was a call to arms, a cry for justice that no one could ignore. When the people of Israel received the pieces, they were horrified. They gathered together all the tribes as one and demanded to know who had committed such a terrible crime. The trail led straight to Gibeah, and the Israelites called for the men responsible to be handed over. But the tribe of Benjamin, to which Gibeah belonged, refused to surrender the guilty men. Instead, they chose to protect them, and this decision led to war, Israelite against Israelite, brother against brother. The battle was fierce and devastating. The Israelites, fueled by a desire for justice, fought with all their might. The Benjamites, defending their own, fought back just as hard. But in the end, the Israelites prevailed, leaving only 600 men from the tribe of Benjamin alive. Those 600 fled into the wilderness, hiding from the wrath of their fellow Israelites. After the dust of battle settled, the reality of what had happened began to sink in. The Israelites had nearly wiped out an entire tribe, their own kin. Grief and regret filled the air as they realized the gravity of their actions. They couldn't bear the thought of a tribe of Israel disappearing, so they devised a plan to find wives for the remaining Benjamites to ensure the tribe wouldn't vanish from history. And so, the tragedy in Gibeah came to an end, but the scars it left behind would never truly heal. This story serves as a powerful reminder of what happens when justice is delayed, when wickedness is allowed to grow unchecked. It's a story of the high cost of vengeance. If you enjoyed this story and want to see more captivating animations and retellings of powerful biblical narratives, don't forget to subscribe. Your support helps bring these ancient stories to life in new and exciting ways. Subscribe now, and be sure to hit the notification bell so you never miss an update.